My name is Anthony Vresland. I am an author and philosopher based in Athens, Greece. For the past decade, I have devoted my work to decoding the hidden wisdom of ancient Greek thought, the philosophy of Homer, Plato, Pythagoras, and the mystery traditions that shaped Western civilization. What I have discovered in this research is both simple and profound. The ancient Greeks were not merely poets and philosophers in the way we understand those words today. They were initiates, masters of a precise science of consciousness that encoded its deepest truths in myth, allegory, and sacred architecture. Homer's Iliad is not a war story. It is a complete psychological map of the human soul, hidden in plain sight for 3,000 years. The battlefield of Troy is not a place in ancient Anatolia. It is the interior landscape of every human being who has ever lived. Achilles is not a warrior. He is the burning will of the self, magnificent, ungovernable, and ultimately mortal. Helen is not a woman. She is the soul itself, the divine spark that both sides of our inner nature are fighting to possess. And Troy is not a city. It is the constructed self, everything we have built to feel safe and certain, that must eventually fall before something real can emerge. Plato understood the same truth from a different angle. His allegory of the cave is not primarily a philosophical thought experiment. It is a precise description of the human condition, a map of how consciousness becomes trapped in a world of shadows and what it takes to turn around and face the light. The prisoners in the cave are not merely ignorant, they are rationed. Their reality is measured out in shadows cast by a fire behind them. They learn to trade shadows, to compete for better seats, to measure their worth by which shadows fall across their chains. They call this economy, they call this life. And Socrates, the man who claimed to know nothing, lived in a way that proved the most radical thesis of ancient philosophy. A man who needs nothing cannot be controlled by promises. A man who fears nothing cannot be controlled by threats. A man who knows he knows nothing cannot be controlled by doctrine. He was executed by the state, but the current he embodied could not be poisoned. It simply moved on, through Plato, through the Stoics, through every quiet soul who has ever set down the vessel of certainty and discovered in the emptiness that everything they needed had been flowing through them all along. This is the wisdom I write about. This is the wisdom I have spent my life trying to recover, decode, and share, not as academic philosophy, not as religious teaching, but as a living map for anyone who has ever sensed that the ancient stories carry more meaning than the surface narrative reveals. My books include Homer, the Iliad, Decoded, Walking Sideways, Sacred Geography, Plato's Allegory of the Cave, Alexander the Great Mystic, and Sacred Geometry, Ancient Wisdom in Modern Times. Each book attempts to do the same thing, to strip away the surface and reveal the living teaching beneath. If you have ever felt that the world as it is presented to you is not the whole story, if you have ever sensed a deeper current moving beneath the surface of things, then these books were written for you. The initiation begins with a single step, and you have already taken it simply by being willing to ask the question,